Hey there traders, this is Trader Tim from eMiniMind.com doing a Monday market analysis video. Today is the 1st of June 2020 and taking a look at the daily ES for starters. You can kind of see us moving sideways along this negative 23% target, and so we really got two places that we can go from here. If we are to break higher, then the target would be the negative 61.8 at 31.45s. If we can break one of these swing lows here from either the 27th or the 29th, the 27th was kind of that big fake out day because intraday it looked very bearish and we broke the prior day's low while we were coming right off of the negative 23, and then we were bought back up, and in intraday we kind of made that V reversal and then closed right at highs on the day. So pretty tricky day on the 27th. And so then we had the doji day and then two bullish days following. So today's day, not the most bullish with we didn't make a new high close, but still a strong day and holding strong, more importantly, holding the sideways movement along this kind of 30.23 to 30.50 area. So we do have some gaps just below us, and sometimes those gaps end up being magnets. If I get rid of the last couple from today and then add in today's gap just by or today's close so that we have that as a potential gap for tomorrow. You can see these gaps here below us are kind of evenly spaced, and then as we go, the next gap above us is a 30.1375. So tomorrow, if we can break above 30.6550, then we should pretty easily be able to move up to and fill this gap at 13.75, and that's all the way back here, kind of before the or in the process of the initial slide down, kind of that swing high before the drop. So 13.75 along with the actual swing high at a 31.37, those would be two important areas to see if we can get to, or like targets, if we're moving higher and breaking above the swing high from the 28th, above 65.50. So using those swing highs and swing lows as your reference points to say, okay, if we get above this level, we should easily be able to go to this level. And therefore, as soon as we do get that break, buying all the pullbacks until we get up to the target would be the strategy intraday. As far as volatility goes, still hanging out in that nice mid 20s area. If I pull up the VIX, kind of basing or flattening out around the 28 level. I've got a couple of swings on. I've got Amazon from above the little dragonfly doji here on the 27th. CDNS was the other one. Same thing above the hammer, and then let's see, was the short ACGL. Now they closed a little bit higher today. I'm short below the low of the high bar, and just waiting for it to put in a lower high and then roll over. Otherwise, I've got my stop above the swing high. So kind of two for the bulls, one for the bears, and we'll see where we go from here. I wanted to go to the SPY. Nothing super standoutish in the volume right here, pretty low. If we go to the Dow, same thing. We're above the negative 61.8, but otherwise pretty much the same pattern as the S&P. NASDAQ just about at its return to highs, and it pulled back to its traditional low to high retracement. And it has a target just a little bit higher, just right about at highs. And then lastly, the IWM, which finally came and broke its negative 61.8, and it's just kind of hanging out between the 50 and the 61 at this point. So all of those indices looking pretty bullish, and definitely, as you go through some of the big names, you can see all of them kind of showing strong patterns and kind of approaching those prior highs, which always makes me a little bit concerned if we get a whole bunch of bullish signals. You want to watch for the potential of a pullback, because if you do get a failure of a really bullish signal, then you're going to have a massive um, either stop run or correction off of the failed setup. So kind of like a head fake where the market looks like it's going to move one way and it looks really clear like it's going to move that way, and then it doesn't. That failure of the setup, that reaction is almost stronger and better playable than the bullish hammer setup that was setting up across all of the indices. So always good to just kind of consider the other side and kind of brace yourself for the other side of the equation. As far as today goes, intraday, let's go down to the 5-minute chart, and I'm going to just pull up the same chart so we can see both of the drawings here together. We had a pullback early in the day. I do like to draw the prior afternoon swing higher low to the morning's low, so like carry over from the prior afternoon's trading hours to this morning's trading hours. We had a little bit of a pullback, only about 4 candles before we bounced, but there was an opportunity in here, a little high ticket highs, but it happened so quick I wasn't able to grab it. But a little short right here was a really nice little setup, but sometimes I can get them. This one was a little bit too quick, but that was really the only short play off of this overnight high to low. And then the long, unless you would have had to get in on the 5-minute itself as opposed to waiting for a micro. We really didn't get a setup. I was trying to get in something like this on the micro, but that did not set up. So the 3650s traded and then traded up to the negative 23% target, and then the next one back to the 50, and then up about a point away from the negative 23% target of that second move before we made a full halfway back for the day right here. And again, we came about a point away from that long, but then set up. That was, let's go. Keep going. Right in here. Like so, at 42.75s. So nice little long off of that that halfway back of the day, and you can play the 5-minute itself. Like you can, especially when the volatility is lower. Sometimes these setups that are visual on the 5-minute chart are essentially just a fairly large micro setup, and so it's okay to put a limit order out at the 50% of a 5-minute chart, especially when that distance, as we talk about, the distance between the 50 and the 61 is pretty small. You can get away with having a manageable stop size, and then if you don't get a micro after the 15 or after the 5-minute, then you're already in the trade. The bigger levels, like the bigger halfway backs for the day, those you definitely want to wait for the support to show its hand before drawing up the setup. Or if we come, like in this case, a point away from the 50 and then start to rally and break a swing high, then drawing up on the micro is good, because if you had a resting order at the 50, you wouldn't have been filled. So kind of a case can be made for both types of executions, and it's nice to be able to use both if you don't quite get to the 50, or if the 50 to the 60-1/8, if that distance is really big, then you definitely want to take the micro off of the 50%. The other thing you can use the micros for our counter trend setup. So like on Friday, Friday, we had a kind of a little bit choppy first 15 minutes, and then we started going up in really little retracements here on the 512 tick chart. And then once we broke the swing low here, you can then look to take the retracements in the other direction. And so setting up here and then riding it down short. So this same type of scenario will set up on a 5-minute chart. Like you'll be trending in one direction and then change directions. Let me switch this, clean it up. And so what day was it here? Oh, like here. If you're trending down the 5-minute, first setup, second one didn't quite tag the 50%, and then the third one fails, and then you can draw the setup in the opposite direction when you break the little swing high. That same approach can be used here on the 512, or is mostly used on the 512, where when you're going up in a little series of retracements, then you break the trend, then you just turn around and go in the other direction. The same thing is true if we break a 60-1-8. If we're going down, we're shorting, and we break a 60-1-8, then we can turn around and draw up along. So always looking for those failure points to kind of trigger a potential move in the opposite direction. Tomorrow, let's see, tomorrow I'll be doing a live trading session in the morning. You can check that out, eminimind.com/VIP. I hope everyone has a good week. Best of luck in your trading, and I will talk to you all soon.